Okay, camera died, but it's after lunch, and we had to fuel all the machines up. I ran out of mulch over here to color, so I had to pull some more down too. At least the window's not fogged up anymore. But we don't have too much longer to go on this tow. Like less than an hour, for sure. Now we've got about a half tow to red, and we'll be out of dye. We've got 3 fire hose nozzles on the top spray bar, and one of them is starting to get plugged up. I can tell that it's only partially spraying. I don't know if you can see it on the camera, I'll have to check. But you can see on the left side, near the middle, that it's not coming out as heavy as the other side. It means the nozzle's starting to get plugged. So as soon as we're done with this tow, we have to clean that out. It's alright for now, but if it gets plugged to where it stops spraying completely, we'll have to, we'd have to shut down. Supposedly, we are going to be getting a new dye plant too. It's a trommel, like a self-contained unit, basically. You just hook water, power up to it, and hook your totes up to it, and then load it. So I don't know, probably set it up on the concrete pad underneath this mulch pile somewhere, and then just grind right into it and let it color. It would definitely be more reliable than the system we are using now. The system we're using now works fine, but it's a lot of maintenance. Probably because it's homemade. You know, it's PVC pipe and fire hose nozzles and homemade nozzles. You know, it works. I mean, we've made a boatload of mulch with it, but like I said, like that fire hose nozzle right now is plugging because mulch gets into it, and we're using like a trash pump, you know, a 3-inch water pump, and it's got a screen on the end of the suction hose, but small things still get through there, and when you're running it for hours a day, it's going to suck enough little pieces of wood and things up to plug it. Whereas when we set that new dye plant up, we're going to have a more permanent pipe going, suction pipe going into the water, out into the lake, pond, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be far enough under the water and away from the edge that it's not going to suck things up, theoretically. Plus, even just like this, the mulch is coming out of there so fast and so much that you're bound to get pieces of wood into the nozzle, into the nozzles. I don't know if we shouldn't have that problem on the new dye plant. I don't know if we will or not. I've never used one like that, a trommel system like that. But I don't think we will have that issue. So then the only real maintenance issue that'll keep us from running will be the teeth on the grinder. which would be a lot better, because it's a pain to work on the teeth, but it's relatively quick compared to like the end of last week, the belts were froze, so I started raising the discharge belt up to fold it, and most of the time, if you have a belt that's froze but it can be folded, it'll come loose just from doing that, just from folding it. Well, the top spray bar fell off. It just came undone on its own, I guess. Yeah, we made it to not fall off, obviously, but it did this time. And it fell straight down onto the bottom spray bars and broke them because they're just PVC pipe. So we had to spend, it took us, we had to spend a day and a half remaking it. So I don't know, it's cheap though. It's very cheap to build your own spray bars. That's the plus. And it worked for a long time. Like, if we weren't doing so much mulch, I don't know how you could justify buying a dye plant like that instead of just building your own spray bars for a couple $100. I'm not sure exactly what the price is on this dye plant that we're supposed to get, but I know it's more than a couple $100. I know it's more than a couple tens of thousands of dollars. Not very long ago, right before I started coloring, we've got like a 4-foot long thermometer. It looks like one you would use on a turkey, except it's like 4 feet long, and we use it to stick in the piles if we see steam coming out. And one spot in our mulch back there was 129 degrees. Not that those thermometers are helpful, but they're not that helpful, in that spot right there. That's steaming. It's 129. But they're not that helpful. Yeah, they're 4 foot long, but those piles are so big. You could, and the steam doesn't come straight up out of the spot that's warm. It has to worm its way through the pile to the point where it can escape. So you never know if you're on the problem area for sure or not. Plus you can actually see flames or something. So we think it's 129 degrees, but there could be a warmer spot in there somewhere. And do you hear that? Running pieces of asphalt or something through here. Rocks. And that's another thing. If anybody from Moorbark is watching this, can you make a grinder that will do the same thing that a crusher will without losing teeth? Because they're both hammer mills. But you run enough rocks through this and it'll screw things up. It'll screw a lot of things up. And I just don't know why a crusher, an impact crusher, can do concrete and stone for a living. But this thing, if you run a piece of asphalt or something through the size of your foot, which is not hard to do. You know, you might think, oh, that's pretty big, you'll be able to see it, but you definitely will not catch every one. So, could somebody tell me why they haven't made a better design for keeping the teeth on, besides nuts and bolts that stretch? Or just break from the impacts of hitting something hard? You know? They probably do. They probably make something that only does regrind, that is not the same system with the hammers and the teeth. I just don't know about it. Or at least I hope there is. Because it's always been a pet peeve of mine. I ran an impact crusher for a year in Cleveland. And we never had any problems with the actual hammer mill. The only time we had a problem is if we put something through there that was so big that it stopped the mill, which was pretty rare because the mill opening was supposed to be, well, it was not supposed to let things down there that were that big, but it did once in a while. Sometimes something would go through just at the right angle and direction that it would fall in there and stop the mill. And it was a big mill. It was big. It was a big crusher. But yeah, you didn't have problems with it. And I know it's not the same. Most impact crushers like that have big manganese plates instead of replaceable teeth on there. But it's like, why not do that? Why not just do that with these? I would much rather replace some big manganese plates, you know, twice a year than have to do this all the time. We're out of dye, I think. I'm not sure. You can shut the water off. You can try to tip the toad up. I think we're out of dye. Hopefully he shut the water. Yeah, he shut the water off. Okay. But he can't lift it. Oh, there he goes. These red toads have been sitting since last year. And they've got sludge in all the corners that the mixer wouldn't break loose, wouldn't mix. Because we do not do very much red. But yeah, so usually, well, we have to tip the totes up at the end to get what's left in the bottom. And with the sludge in there, it feels like it's not empty, but it is. Sonny's got it tip it up, and then we'll be able to run for another 30 minutes or so.
Alright, you got some now.
Okay, you can turn the water back on. Okay. Yeah, with the sludge in there, it's hard to know when they're empty or when they need tipped. We dumped, okay, we dumped 2 gallons of ammonia in it to try to loosen the sludge up at the bottom while we were mixing it, and it did help break up the stuff that was like directly underneath the mixer and around most of it except for right in the corners. And I wonder if anybody knows any tricks to dealing with that with a sludged up tote, where all the solids settle to the bottom, or if it's just a lost cause. Because the tow, like I said, it had been sitting for almost a year. I don't think it, not quite a year, but almost a year, and you know, sludged up. But this will be our 3rd tote of red, and we've got another partial tow, and that'll be it, and that'll get us through most of the year on red. We really do not go through very much at all of it. So if they send us one and we don't end up using it until we start bagging the next year's contracts, they sludge up. And it's always been a problem because you can't, it takes time to get them, so you can't not order them if you don't think you're going to use a whole one yet, you know. And we don't sell that much bulk, you know. If we ordered an extra tote, or if we ordered an extra 5 totes of black or brown dye, we would sell it all in bulk, even if we didn't bag it. Try turning the tie plan up to like 42 or something real quick. No, we're out. I'll roll one more bucket through, but if that doesn't help, the opening explodes.
Okay,
yeah, we're out. Alright, you can shut the water off. We must be out. Or the opening's sludged up.
I think the opening's kind of sludged up or something. You got like a little bit in there, but it must just not be coming through. You might be done, you know what I mean?
Yeah, we probably are. You can wash out, and then after you wash out, we'll try opening that valve and see what happens.
Okay.
Maybe we had less than an hour after all. It's also hard to tell with the red when you run out of dye. For some reason, it's like it lasts forever. I don't know. Or maybe it's just visible, more visible than the brown and black. But you have to watch closely for it to start changing when you think you're near the bottom. Because we just ran probably 8 yards through there that wasn't colored very well because we were running out. But you know, 8 yards out of a whatever that is, 1,000-yard pile. That's not that bad. In fact, you won't. I mean, you won't. You'll never see it because the guy in the loader will mix it around while it's still wet, and it'll color it. It's just, you know, I'd rather not leave it up to somebody else. I'm the guy who's coloring. I'd rather not have the loader guy have to mix around a little bit from the top of the cone. Because ultimately it comes back to me, comes back on me. If it's not, if there's a blotch in there that's not colored, you know. That pile's not 1,000 yards. It's probably 700 or 800. They do 600 a day. If they run well, if the plant runs well, they do 600 a day. I think. I'll figure out the math right now. $648 yards they will do in a day if they run like they're supposed to. Doing 70 bags on a pallet, and they're 2 cubic feet a piece. And they are supposed to do 125 skids a day. So that's how much we do for 10 months a year, every day. Or that's how much we're supposed to do every day, you know. It doesn't always work out that way. Something can happen to the plant, and they only get 50 skids that day, but then they have to come in on Saturday and make the extras. But if I color for an entire day, I make enough for them to bag for 2 days. So that means I do around 1,200 yards a day through this, if everything goes good and I don't break spray bars or something, or have these red totes that are sludged up and have to spend 2 hours mixing them. But it's always go time, you know. 600 yards a day is a lot that they bag. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there watching this that are moving a lot more than 600 yards a day, but doing it 10 months a year, it's a lot. And I do more than that, because that's just what they bag. We sell a lot of bulk too. Well, it's 2:30. We just emptied that tote, so probably gonna spend the rest of the day setting the mixer up and mixing that our next tote. Usually the mixer we have sets right on the top of the tote, and it's got little clamps on there that hook it on. But these red totes that have been sitting, it doesn't, the sludge is so thick that the mixer won't sit down in there all the way. So we gotta set up blocks on top of the tote. See that mixer over there? I don't know if I can figure out how to zoom it in. It won't zoom, it won't do anything. But yeah, there's a mixer over there. We gotta set it up on blocks and strap it on, and then mix it for 20 minutes, and then take the blocks out and lower it down the rest of the way, and then mix it for a while longer. So that's going to take the rest of the day. So I'm going to shut down and we're going to call it a day. Can you see the sludge? That's what we're dealing with in these red totes that have been sitting down here for about a year. Yeah, this is the mixer, and this is a half a tote, but it's about a year old too, and it's gonna have the same kind of sludge in there. I don't know if you can see, but it's not really flexing. There's stuff in there. But yeah, that's why I quit running.